One of the things that we read in some of the reference material we got was that the Romans would periodically let a bunch of wild animals loose in the arenas. And I think that the idea of a stampede appealed to Ridley. At some point, I think he felt he'd be using that in the Roman scenes. He designed some of that. He sketched a few drawings of elephants stampeding over lions and etc. But a quick chat with the visual effects department revealed that this sort of thing would cost so much money that it couldn't possibly be worth it. But Ridley kept saying, we need an exotic animal sequence. We're going to have to find something with an exotic animal sequence. At one point, we designed a scene around a rhinoceros. I think somebody in England turned up with a little guy who was training a rhino to go around in circles. And it was thought that perhaps an entire number could be done around it. And that number would allow us to show Maximus's strength in his ability to dominate a wild animal. So we storyboarded a scene in which finally, after maybe a 3-minute battle, Maximus manages to slaughter a rhino. And I believe we faxed that sequence to Los Angeles. The death of the rhino was something that was rejected by DreamWorks. Couldn't say exactly whom, but it was rumored that somebody high up had developed anxieties over time over killing animals because of some earlier experience. So the thought was that no matter what we did, the rhinoceros wouldn't be killed. So I remember having to redraw the end of the sequence in such a way that the triumphant Maximus somehow avoided death without having to kill the creature. We saw a little piece of test footage of a rhino running around the arena, and it was clear, this was a live rhino, the one from the little English gentleman, and it was clear that this just wasn't going to do it. But at any rate, we budgeted the storyboard, and I think the budget that Milfilm, which was the studio who did the visual effects for the film, Milfilm turned up a budget of something like $3 million for creating the CG for that scene. It turns out that they figured that really the whole rhinoceros had to be done entirely in CGI from beginning to end, that it would be nearly impossible to use a real one for any part of the sequence. And it turns out we scrapped the whole sequence altogether. There was absolutely nothing we could do to fit that into the film. It was just way too much money. As you do these things, you become attached to the elegance of a scene and the beauty of it. You can become quite fond of something and then overnight learn that you have to let it go entirely and start again. And one might think that it's hugely disappointing. Sometimes it is. What's amazing to me is to see how a knowledgeable director is able to keep the big picture in his head. Ultimately, what surprises me about Gladiator is how wrong I was in assuming that some of the stuff that we dropped was important. And ultimately, I think Ridley made all the right choices in terms of giving the movie its values, its strengths and its slow moments, etc. The pacing of it is absolutely extraordinary. It's tempting to become attached to things that can be pretty irrelevant. So from the perspective of a storyboard artist, I'd say it's very important to listen a lot. And watching a director say, you know, we have to move away from this. This is no longer what we require.